Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now, when you go on YouTube and you see a video that says the fastest blanket ever, I've done that as well. And because some blankets are much quicker to crochet than others, well, this one is a super fast blanket. Look at this. Now, 2 rows gives you slightly over 2 inches of crochet. So if you think that you're doing a small blanket like this size, this just took me a couple of hours, and look how much I've got done with this. I want to point out you can finish this blanket either on the fan row like this. We'll tuck that back down. You can finish it on a fan row, or you can do that back loop. Look at this. This is so pretty. This is what the back looks like. So it's not really a reversible blanket. Now the blanket is done in little sections of 6 stitches, as you can see here. I will explain how to do it. It's 2 rows repeat. You repeat the fan row, you repeat the back loop stitch row. Really easy, and look how much it grows. Now look how thick it is in this yarn. Look how big it does. It crochets up so quickly, and look at that pattern. It's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. So for this pattern, I'm using this paint box Simply Aran yarn. It's a beautiful peach, as you can see. I've got sunshine shining in the window, and Muttley's laying in the sunshine and he's loving it. So I'm having to just kind of dart past the light. This yarn is really pretty. It's a paint box Simply Aran. This is a 4, and it says a medium weight. It's 100 grams in the ball. It's 3.5 ounces of 3.5, 100% acrylic, and it's 184 meters. And it tells you to use a 5.5, or you can use a bigger hook if you want to. So I use the fan stitch or the shell stitch. Some people call it a fan, some people call it a shell. I use this stitch a lot, and so do a lot of other people, because it grows really quick. When you do the shell or the fan, you're getting at least an inch every row that you do. Now this blanket will crochet up really quickly, because you're getting an inch from the fan and you're getting almost an inch from the other part of the pattern. So it's going to grow by almost 2 inches by every 2 rows. So it is a really quick blanket to make. Use any kind of yarn you want. You can use the hook size it tells you on your yarn label. Use any colour. It's brilliant for children, it's brilliant for babies, it's brilliant for adults as well. It's a really beautiful pattern, as you saw from the beginning. Now the stitch count for this is 6 plus 2 extra stitches at the end of your foundation chain. So I'm going to do a slip knot. Now you just do your first loop on your hook whatever way you want. Even if you just tie it on, if you're a beginner, it doesn't matter. Just get that loop onto your hook, and you're going to do a chain in sets of 6 stitches. So that's 1. Now that's your stitch, not the loop. Never ever count the loop on your hook. Always count the stitches once they've been made and they're underneath your hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Don't do your foundation chain too tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. So I'm going to add 2 extra stitches. I've got my small foundation chain done, and I'm going to add 2 extra stitches, 1 and 2. So we're going to do a UK double crochet and a UK treble crochet. If you're in another country or in the USA, that's a single crochet for you and a double crochet. It's the same stitch, we just have different terms for that stitch. So we're going to go into the second stitch in your chain and do a UK double crochet. So into the second stitch and do a double crochet. You're going to skip 2 stitches, skip 2, 1, 2, and into this stitch you're going to do a fan, and the fan is made up of 6 treble crochets. That's UK treble crochets, and if you're in the USA, that's double crochets for you. So we're going to do a yarn over, and into that stitch you're going to do 6 treble crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now what you'll notice is it's used a big space in the stitch. Pull it over and make sure you count that stitch there as your next skip stitch. We're going to skip 2 stitches, so that's 1 and 2, and into the next one you're going to do a double crochet. So just put your hook through the stitch, yarn over and pull through, but remember and pull those stitches aside and count that stitch there. It gets swallowed up with that fan and you don't want to miscount it. A lot of the time when people tell me they didn't have enough stitches and they got the stitch count wrong, it's usually when it's a fan or a shell that it squashes that stitch. That's the one we've used and that's the one beside it. So you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and do a fan. Then you'll skip 2 stitches and do a double crochet, skip 2 stitches, do a fan, skip 2 stitches and do a double crochet all the way to the end, and you should finish on a double crochet. So we're skipping 2, 1, 2, and we're going to do another fan. That's 6 treble crochets all into the same stitch. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now remember, kind of pull it over to the side and count that stitch that's there. You can see it there. That's the one we've used, and that one there is the next one. It gets kind of pulled out of place. So that's 1, 2, and then double crochet into the third stitch. Count 2, skip 2, 1, 2, and then do another fan. And you'll do that all the way to the end. And you should finish on a double crochet. So this is what you have after doing your first row of your 6 treble crochet, skip 2 and do your double crochet to make up your fans. So I've got my last fan done. I'm going to skip 2 and into the last stitch I'm going to put a double crochet into that last stitch. There you go. Now you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work around. Now to get that nice pattern that you saw on that green blanket, we're going to turn your work, put your yarn over. Don't do that very first stitch there. We're going to do 3 stitches up the fan. We're going to chain 1 and do 3 down this side, down the fan. And we're going to do a UK treble crochet. If you're in the USA, that's a double crochet for you. So yarn over and into the back loop of that stitch, the back loop. Pull your yarn through and do your treble crochet. Yarn over, go to the next stitch. So don't count your chain. So we've done 1, 2. We're going to do another one into the back loop of the fan. Now that's the V on your fan and you're going around that loop. Just go through that back loop. So that's you done 3. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to do the other 3 going down this side of your fan. That's 1, 2, and the next one is 3. So your next stitch is a double crochet. You're going to ignore that. Just ignore that little stitch down in there. And you're going to yarn over and go straight over to the next fan. You're going to go through the back loop. That's that loop there. Pull through. That's 1. You're going to do 3. 1 into that stitch. 1 into the next stitch. That's 2. 1 into the next stitch. That's 3. This is where you find out if you've done your 6 stitches in your fan. If you haven't done 6 stitches in your fan, you're not going to have enough stitches to do this part. So make sure you do your 6 treble crochets in your fan. So you're going to chain 1 and go to the next stitch. And you're going to go work down and do 3 back loop treble crochets into the back loop. That's 2 and that one's 3. And you should have your double crochet stitch in between the fans. Ignore that stitch. Don't do that stitch. Go to this one, over to here, and do 3 back loop treble crochets. That's 1. You're going into the back loop of that stitch. That's 2 and 3. Chain 1 and do the other 3 down this side of your fan. 1, 2, and the next one along is 3. Skip the next stitch, skip the double crochet stitch. You don't want to use that. We're just doing the ones on the fan. So go in there all the way along. You'll do your 3 back loop treble crochets, chain 1, and then do your next 3 stitches. Chain 1. So you're using each stitch going up and around your fan. These stitches here, but this side. So I've done my chain 1, do my other 3. And look how big that is already. It's nearly 2 inches tall already. And it's such a pretty, pretty pattern. I love it in this peach. So you can do this for children. You can do it for babies, for adults. You can mix the colours. If you want, you can do the fans in one colour and do this bridging part in a different colour. And then do your next set of fans in a different colour. It'll look pretty. It will look really pretty done with white on the fan and do black on that bridging part. Then do white and then do that. Make it pop. Really, it'll be beautiful. So this is my third one going down. Skip the next stitch. That's your double crochet stitch. And work along the top of this fan. That's 1, 2, just turn your fan a little bit, just turn it a little bit. Oops, I never turned my yarn over. 3, chain 1, remember that chain 1, and down the other side of the fan, all the way to the end of your row. skip my double crochet and move over to the next fan. And just tilt your work so you can see that back loop of that stitch. You're going through that back loop. So you'll only have that one loop there. And that's what makes that ridge on the front of your blanket. That's what the back of the blanket looks like. Now, when you want to finish this blanket, you can work along the bottom and put a fan in along the bottom if you want to neaten up your blanket. So I've done 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and go down the other side. That's 1, 2, and the last back stitch. And I'm left with my double crochet on the end. You're going to do a treble crochet into that double one. There we go. And this is what you've got. Look how big that is already. That is so, so pretty. Now you might notice my nail polish. When it's cold, it goes blue, and it's freezing up here in Scotland. And when my hands get warm, it goes silver. It's really pretty, this. So your next row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now into that very first stitch, do a double crochet. You're going to go across, skip these 3 stitches, and you remember where you did that chain 1? So that's your fan, and that's your 6 taller stitches. You're skipping 1, 2, 3, and where that chain 1 is, that actual stitch, you're going to do a fan. So you're going to go through that stitch, right through, just push your hook through, a little bit fiddly, but it's worth it. So you've got your 2 loops on your hook and pull through. Once you've done that first one, it opens it up for your next stitches. You're going to put 6, get myself some yarn. You're going to put 6 treble crochets into that one stitch. That's your chain 1 stitch in the top of your fan. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Now into the gap between your sections, in that gap there, you're going to do a double crochet. So just go right through the hole and do a double crochet. You're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3. It should take you up to that chain 1, and in there you're going to do your fan. So go through that stitch, just push through that stitch. Might be a little tight. Don't go into the space, because if you do your fan in the chain space here, if you do your fan in there, it leaves a great big hole. Try and go into the stitch. The pattern calls for you to go into the stitch. So that's 1. We're going to build our fan, and that's 6 treble crochets. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. And 6. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and it'll take you to the gap between your fans, and do a double crochet. And these are the 2 rows that you'll keep repeating, the fan row and then that back loop row. 6. So you're going to skip over. Now you're going to skip these 3 stitches, and you're going to do a double crochet into the top of that chain of 3. So just push your hook through the top of that stitch, the top of that chain of 3, and do a double crochet. and that's your chain row done, and that's your fan row done. So you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that doesn't count as a stitch. Now you're going to do that back loop row again. These are the 2 rows that you'll keep repeating, the back loop row and the fan row. And when your blanket's as big as you want it, you can either leave it on the fan at the top of your blanket, or you can put that back loop row on. I like it done with the fan left on the top of your blanket. It makes it really pretty on the top. So once again, what you're going to do is you've got 6 stitches in your fan. Turn it slightly so you can see the top of your stitches, and you're going to do your back loop treble crochets, or a back loop double crochet if you're in the USA. Just, that's one. Go to the next one. That's your V part of your stitch, and you're going into the back loop of that stitch. So that's 2. And don't worry if it looks like it's got a hole in it. Don't worry about that. And then 3, then you'll chain 1. So chain 1 and do the next 3 stitches down. You'll skip the double crochet stitch and then work up 3, chain 1 and work down, skip the double crochet and move over to your next fan. So I've done my chain 1, and I'm going to do my back loop stitches down 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to ignore the double crochet and go to the next stitch in the fan. Don't do that double crochet. If you do that double crochet, you'll have too many stitches and you'll have it all offset. So make sure you skip that double crochet. Don't do that little stitch. Move to the next one, the back loop of the next one. That's 1, 2 and 3. Remember the chain 1. You need the chain 1 to build your next fan, and work down. 1, 2 and 3. Skip the double crochet and just go straight over to the next stitch in your fan, all the way along. So I've got to the end of my row, and look how much it's done already. This really is a really quick blanket. Now, I know I've seen lots of videos and said a lot of them myself that this is the fastest blanket ever. This is super fast. Your blanket is growing by 2 inches at a time, and it really is a true super fast blanket pattern, and it's a really easy pattern too. So at the end, into the double crochet that's there, you'll do a treble crochet, chain 1 and turn, and we're just going to repeat the fan row. So it's 1 double crochet, move over to that stitch. You're going to skip these 3 stitches and build your fan in that chain 1 stitch, not the space in the stitch. Oops, just push it through. Once you get the 1 stitch in, it opens it up for the rest of them. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So this is your fan row. Skip these 3 stitches and into the chain space do a double crochet into that space. It's not a chain space, it's just a space. Skip 3 stitches and then into that chain, that one, Muttley down there grumping, Into this stitch here, you're going to build your next fan. So that's your chain 1. Build your fan, move over to this big space, do a double crochet. Then into the chain 1 stitch, do a fan, then move over into in between, do your double crochet, and then up and do your fan. Now those are the 2 rows that you'll keep repeating. So just rewind it to the fan row and then that row. So that's what you'll do on the top of this one. You'll do the back loop. You'll do the back loop row next, then a fan row, then a back loop, and then a fan row. The one thing, remember when you do your back loop, you'll do your chain 1. Remember the chain 1, and remember to ignore the double crochet down here when you're doing your back loop stitches. You're only working on the fan, and when you do the fan, you'll do your double crochet into the first stitch, skip these stitches, and then use that chain 1 stitch to build your next fan. And that is how it looks. It's really pretty, and look how quick it's growing. This grows really fast. It's a lovely go-to blanket, and I'm going to show you my bigger one that I'm working on. Now when you finish this blanket, you can either finish it on the fan row and stop when you get to the end, just cut your yarn and stitch in your tail, or you can finish it on that back loop row. I like the fan row to finish off the blanket. The sides are nice and straight. You don't need to do much to the side. If you want, you can attach your yarn to the end here, do a double crochet and do a fan in here, a double crochet into the middle, then do a fan in the loop, a double crochet into this middle part, do a fan, double crochet, do a fan along the bottom, and that'll neaten up the bottom if you want it done like that. But it is pretty like that anyway. I really like it like that. I'm going to show you my other one that I've been working on. Until the next time, give this a try. It really is quick. It's a quick go-to blanket. It's really pretty. And if you've got an Etsy shop, or if you sell your blankets on eBay or Amazon, or even just to your friends, I think this is going to be very popular. It crochets up quick. You've got big stitches, so you're not using a lot of your time to make this. So you can knock up quite a few of these quite quickly. And look how big mine is. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets. So that's my 60 stitches that I did for this blanket, and plus my 2 I did on my foundation chain at the end. So this size is 60. It's lovely for a car seat size, a Moses basket, a little stroller, or a little cuddle blanket. It's a really nice size. It's so pretty. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. It's great moral support to have subscribers, and a lot of them. You don't get paid for subscribers, you really don't, honestly. It's just great moral support. And if you click on the bell icon, YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial, and you'll want to do that because I have got quite a few more blankets to show you how to do. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.